All right.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Election Day. It's a big day for transportation in Athens-Clarke County. We're still waiting on some folks to show up, but we're going to go ahead and get started with our meeting. And we will come back when we have quorum for items that we need to vote on. So we'll pull up the agenda and we'll take a quick look at it. And again, we will hold off on making any important decisions until we have quorum. Some housekeeping items. Sorry, it's tiny. Our major agenda items, a quick update on complete streets policy, and then revisiting the Oglethorpe Avenue at Hawthorne bike lanes. And Daniel just sent along an email with an attachment about that. And then we'll try and go through the communications plan update, specifically the logos. We'll try and do that kind of quickly. You have a lot of items to be updated on from Daniel. A quick run through with our committees, and if we have time for discussion, we had some items left over last time that we did not get to, so maybe we could start a conversation there on those. Right, and we will come back to approving the agenda and the April minutes. And so Teresa had asked about our active committees list and had pulled up this item from a long time ago. And I just found our activities list that Daniel had started. Teresa, is this useful? What are you thinking?
Well, it is useful. The other thing that would really be helpful would be if we could put a phone number and an email address for every person here as well, because like there are times when I'm scratching my head saying, so who's on the Education and Communications Committee? I can't even remember. And then when I remember somebody, I say, well, I don't have his or her email, or I don't have his or her phone number, so that would really be great if we had that in one place.
Well, Teresa, you want to reach out and chat with your fellow commissioners?
I'll
What a
be happy to
request.
do that. We can just add it we can add a page to this, or we could have a separate, like AIMC directory if we
Okay.
wanted to do that. But, I think it would really help me.
Yeah, that's a great point. That it is kind of hard to get in touch with folks if we don't have their number. So I'll start this document in our share so we can fill in offline.
Might be a chance for folks to either get off some committees or get on committees if they have decided that they would like to make a change.
I'll go ahead and send my list out to everybody right now, so you'll have that to reference.
Thank you all.
And it may be helpful to when you open up the Google Drive folder, I sometimes get lost with all the folders of which thing is where. So it may be helpful to have kind of just within that front, Athens in Motion folder, these kind of initial documents of, here is the committee membership, here's the project list,
Mhm. Yeah, I tried to clean that up once upon a time. I got so far, but then things happened. So I can continue to clean it up, and if that would be helpful to people, if people would like me to do that.
Yes, that is helpful. I cleaned up, I think I did the agendas recently and I put them all, organized them by year because Drive does not sort very well.
No, it
Yeah,
doesn't.
it's kind of amazing how difficult it is to find anything.
Yeah.
All right, so Randy is here. Hey, Randy, did you get a chance to vote?
Yes, I did. Absolutely.
Excellent. So we're going to go back now since we do have quorum and approve the agenda minutes. But first, I skipped over public comment. Daniel, do we have any public comments?
We do not.
All right. And then we'll approve the agenda. Again, like I said, a couple items specifically related to Oglethorpe Avenue at Hawthorne, intersection, communications plan, lots of GDOT stuff happening, and then committee updates. And if we have time at the end, we'll have some discussion. So I would like to entertain a motion to approve our agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Aaron. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, who wants
Second.
that? Randy? Okay.
Yeah.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. All right, next, Blaine sent along our minutes. I'll scroll back to the top because I was looking at them earlier. We'll update on complete streets today. Any comments about the minutes from April?
No.
So look pretty complete and good.
All right, well, I will make the first motion to approve our minutes as written from April.
I'll
Can I get a
second.
second?
I'll second that.
All right then.
All right, so I guess we'll
Doesn't
let
matter, I
Aaron-
don't care.
Yeah. Let Aaron
You have it,
second that. Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, the minutes are approved. And Randy, when you walked in, we were just, Teresa had asked about a list of committees, and we are in the need to be able to contact each other. So we are starting a document, and it's saved in the drive. I'll star it, but that might just be starring it for me. And then we also discussed the need to organize the drive, and Teresa said that she would take a first pass. But Teresa, it doesn't have to all be up to you. So
It's all right. It's the kind of thing that drives me crazy. So, you know,
mhm.
and now that the election is just about over and I don't have to worry about Alan anymore, then I can worry about this some. So that's fine.
Oh. Okay, so we talked about this last time, commissioner expiration dates and renewal process. I don't have any new information on this. I haven't heard like that the applications are open. As far as based on the information we had before, Randy, Aaron, and Teresa, you do have to reapply.
Lawrence,
Teresa?
I got an email message from someone in the county manager's office
Oh,
saying,
you did.
yeah, that my term was going to expire and that they would send me a notice when I needed to reapply for the position. So it's going to be the whole thing all over again. You know, you have to fill out the application and then you have to come in for your interview and then, you know, they either say yes or they give me the boot. So
Okay, I had not received anything yet from the county, but hopefully I will too.
well, I hope you, let me see,
Yeah.
I'll try to dig that up. It's been a couple of weeks. So it would have been somebody from ACC Gov, but if I find it, I'll just forward it to you all so you have it.
Thank you, Teresa. Yeah, I'd like to see that as well. So I'm encouraged that you got an email, but then I'm concerned that Aaron has not gotten one. Randy, have you received one?
Not other than what you had forwarded along, Daniel, a while ago.
Okay. That's 1 out of 3. We'll figure it out. Okay, so I will move on to our major agenda items. The first item, real quick, is complete streets policy update. So I want to thank our vice chair, Teresa, for attending the agenda setting meeting and speaking not only to the complete streets policy update that we have presented to the Mayor and Commission, but also the Vision Zero coordinator position that's being proposed by Transportation and Public Works. That is, as far as I know, still in the mayor's budget. So the Teresa, do you want to give an update on that, or I can summarize what they said, or?
If you don't mind giving a summary, because I'm still a
Sure.
little out of it from being out in the sun for.
Oh, of course, yeah. So, and thank you again, Teresa, for representing us. They, all that happened is, commissioners voted to remove it from consent agenda, which just means they're not going to approve it with a bunch of other stuff with a single yes. They want to have some additional discussion at their voting meeting, potentially before voting one way or the other, or, kicking the can down the road a bit further.
To
Daniel, is that your
clarify,
understanding?
they didn't vote to remove it. They just did not vote to, they voted not to add it to consent agenda. Just a small detail, not a big deal, but
Thank you, Daniel. That's right. I
that was
appreciate
my
your correction.
understanding.
Yes. And I have an email draft to send out. I keep forgetting to press send on, that just underscores the high points about our complete streets policy, that we have one in effect right now. It just doesn't have any teeth. And you know, one commissioner had a question about order of operations and how these items are complete streets policy, and Athens in Motion kind of fit in together. So I hope to clear that up a little bit before they have their voting meeting, which is not next week, but the week after, the 7th. So that's coming up. And then any questions or comments about that complete streets policy or the Vision Zero coordinator position?
Just hope we get it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Kind of, I might be skipping ahead, but something that I just started working on is, if that position is approved, I'm drafting a Vision Zero, not a proclamation. The one with the R. Thank you.
Yes.
Resolution. To take to Mayor and Commission during the next voting session. So if anybody is interested in kind of working together on that, I can handle the agenda part of it, and I can put together a resolution, but I think it would be helpful to kind of get some other eyes on it. So if that's something you're interested in, send me an email.
At it.
Yep, will do. Thanks, Daniel. Moving on to our next major agenda item, that is revisiting the Oglethorpe Avenue at Hawthorne intersection. Previously, we had left bike lanes going through the intersection, continuing along Oglethorpe off the plan. It didn't seem like it was an option, but now it is. So I'm going to turn it over to Daniel to talk about where we are and what is needed. And he did just send out an email to us, so you can follow along with that. And Daniel, if you need me to share anything, let me know, or you're welcome to have control of the screen.
It might be helpful if you go ahead and share, because sometimes my computer starts getting clunky when I'm sharing
Can do.
and trying to.
Got it up.
Cool. Yeah, so let's go up to the very top of the document, and let's zoom
Okay.
in on that a bit.
Yeah. I don't know what it's doing.
So I spoke with Ronnie a few days ago, I guess on the 18th last week, and we met with Eric, and we talked about some of the pros and cons of kind of continuing to move forward. We are pretty far ahead in this project in terms of where we were in the middle of working on the 85th or 85% plans. But it came up a few times, the need to add bike lanes, and we specified, I specified the need, especially just along Oglethorpe, where we're essentially already considering ourselves to have bike lanes because we, if you look at the bike lanes along Oglethorpe, they start at Prince and they go to the, I think it's Mitchell Bridge Road. So right around sunset, they cut out and then bikes merge in with traffic. And then right around the firehouse after the intersection, it picks back up. And so since we're upgrading this intersection and we are trying to keep right-of-way costs minimal, so within Athens in Motion, even though it calls for buffered bike lanes here, we wouldn't necessarily be looking to get it all the way up to the full Athens in Motion version. That would just be too expensive for the budget that we have here. But the goal here would be to get it up to our minimum needs, which is to kind of mirror what the current bike lanes are doing, and add in some safety things as well, such as bike boxes and other things. So within that, we wanted to get a vote from you guys. There's kind of two options here. There is, you could say that let's keep the budget low on this one and just put it through as the 85% plans are currently shown, and that will keep the budget low. We won't need to get any money from the bike project from T-SPLOST 2018, or we could recommend to move forward on exploring kind of what's outlined. If you go back to that document, scroll down. So right here, we had three considerations that we discussed. One was pedestrians to improve connectivity. The second one was the road diet on Hawthorne, which is something that we were asked to do by mayor and commission. Our current intersection design does not prohibit future design plans along there, so we aren't going to be going back and tearing up something that we just installed. And the third consideration there was bike lanes. So we can all just take a moment to kind of read this paragraph, or if you want to read it out.
Well, I'd like to just add, I mean, I work on that on Oglethorpe, and there is actually quite a bit of bicycle traffic along there. It's a flat corridor. It's a really important connection between Bishop Park, the Y, future enhancements to Tallahassee Road, the elementary school. There are just so many things. The health science campus, of course, the upcoming improvements to the Prince Avenue corridor, hopefully. I just think it's a really important section there from Prince to Alps, that section of Oglethorpe. So anything we can do to make it as safe as possible and to keep the traffic speed low on Oglethorpe, I'd really like to encourage us to think about that.
Thank you.
I think that makes sense. If we're over there doing the work, we might as well finish up the project in a way that functions.
So
I agree.
how will the bike lanes fit into this with the right of way? How do we make them fit really?
So if you go on down the action items, these those four, these are the four action items that we kind of came away with. So the consultant is getting back to us with a fee proposal for identifying the impact to the overall project costs if we included bike lanes. So that's something we just don't know, and we anticipate as we move forward, that question will probably come up. So we're going to go ahead and we're getting a fee for that, and it'll need to be approved by mayor and commission, I believe. And it'll also include an estimate of additional design fees, right-of-way costs, and utility impact relocations, and any additional construction costs. So they're kind of putting together a whole, like, this is what the extra will cost to add bike lanes. I don't really have an idea of how much that will be. I don't think we're in the millions. I don't know if we're in the 400s or higher. We're not really sure. So we'll know more once that action item A is completed. I am doing B right now to talk with you guys and hopefully get a recommendation from you for mayor and commission to include the inclusion or to for the direction on the inclusion of bike lanes, whether yes or no. And then they, based on that, they'll start revising the current layouts and working on what that would look like. We are trying to reduce right-of-way impacts. We don't want to shut any businesses down. So that's where it kind of gets difficult with going beyond what is currently on Oglethorpe in the other sections of Oglethorpe. But I think, we did a bike ride audit through there with Bike Athens and a few others. And riding through that, it was like, okay, these lanes are pretty comfortable, like they're not bad, and then they stop and suddenly you're like, oh, this is a really busy intersection. So yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at. And I know in the past we've brought stuff to you, and then we don't want y'all to feel rushed. So if you feel the need to kind of absorb and look at this, and then we can do a special called session, that's totally fine.
So Daniel, for clarity, what you need from us is a motion and a vote to pursue like cost estimates at this point, or what do you need from us something that's more definite that we will be doing bike lanes?
So here's kind of like, just to get my head wrapped around what I was asking, because I want to be clear with you guys. I went ahead and wrote down kind of an idea of what it could be, and y'all can adjust this if you need. But it could be a recommendation to mayor and commission to move forward on exploring concepts with the consultant to add bike lanes to this intersection along Oglethorpe Avenue only, with minimal impact to surrounding businesses. So, and the reason I say Oglethorpe Avenue only is we all know that the north-south bike lanes at Hawthorne are not even close to being good enough. That will likely just have to be a completely separate project. And if that were expanded, that would absolutely impact the businesses. So there's not really, it is a project that we've prioritized through I believe it was the STIP, the State Transportation Improvement Plan, to GDOT among Atlanta Highway as well as Lexington Road. So this is something that in the future, like that'll be a whole other project. And then kind of going back to Oglethorpe, the reason we weren't looking at upgrading it fully to the Athens in Motion standard of like what is expected, which it would be on the right side, it would be buffered bike lanes, and then going left, it's a separated path. That's what's recommended in Athens in Motion Plan. Both of I believe the buffered lanes are tier 2 and the separated path maybe tier 2 or 3. So with that, it was kind of like as little like put in the investment to get the bike lanes through there to make it safer. Because I agree, I think it's definitely needed. But yeah, Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, draw your attention to the other end of that corridor at Prince Avenue, because there you have essentially, you don't have a bike lane until the road kind of turns the corner and goes up the hill. And so that's a place where there's, it's challenging for a bike. And part of that is topography. You would have to carve out some hillside, I think, at that corner behind the what used to be the quartermaster's house at the Navy School. But that's just something to notice, that the bike lanes kind of disappear about 100 feet before you actually get to Prince Avenue.
And it kind of does that on every intersection, it seems. If there's a turn lane, then they kind of stop doing bike lanes. I'm assuming that was originally, this was kind of like, hey, we could do a road diet and fit this in, which is something we currently and still do. It's just, I think there was a few spots where it was just too difficult. So with this particular project being an intersection improvement, I just want to make sure that we're not just looking at the opposite view of that and saying, oh, well, this is, there's no current bike lanes here, so we don't need to upgrade it, the chicken and the egg situation. So
Yep. Makes sense.
So yeah, I will I'm gonna copy and paste my verbiage into chat, and then you can do with it what you will.
Yeah, that's pretty helpful. Yeah, I think, again, the motion as Daniel suggested, and I think that it's pretty good, is to recommend the Mayor and Commission move forward on exploring concepts with the consultant to add bike lanes through along to this intersection along Oglethorpe Avenue with minimal impact to surrounding businesses. Is there anyone who wants to make a motion, make that a motion, or make a similar motion, or your own motion?
I just want to be sure that this is making the bike lanes that exist on Oglethorpe before, or, you know, on either side of this intersection. I want to make sure that it's going to connect them. Is that, you know, I want to make sure that that's understood in the language.
Yeah, and Daniel, does this project go up to Sunset Drive?
Um, so Stephen, what are your thoughts here on that particular limitation? The project boundaries do not go to Sunset Drive, so I don't know that we would be able to extend it all the way, but what are your thoughts?
I mean, it makes sense to bring it all the way to the intersection. I think that we could, I guess that's what I was assuming we were talking about when we chatted about it before.
Yeah, and I would hope so, but I just double check. Yeah, and I would agree with you, Teresa. I think some way, rather than just add bike lanes to the intersection, noting that with the existing bike lanes that stop before the intersection, some way to work that into the language if someone wants to take a stab at that.
Maybe to add bike lanes to this intersection and connect along Oglethorpe Avenue to existing bike lanes.
In order to connect, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then from here, your recommendation can be from Sunset, and we'll be clear to connect existing bike lanes that currently end
Yeah, and not to throw a wrench in things, but if you're heading towards Oglethorpe, I mean towards Hawthorne, on the bike lane ends before Sunset.
Yeah, I changed it slightly to say in order to connect existing bike lanes that currently end at Sunset Drive. So
Yeah,
I can say near Sunset Drive,
yeah.
but
That's
I
good.
think, yeah. And if y'all want to make like a measurement just to like get the measurement in there, or if you're good with just keeping it written in this way.
Well, it's less than a mile, yeah?
I believe so.
Yeah, and I've forgotten, yeah, we don't, it's past Sunset. It's like to Holman, and I think, I think, maybe this might be newer paint. I don't know.
Definitely less than a mile from Hawthorne though, because I run this section and
Mhm.
like less than a half a mile.
I mean, what's the point of having the bike lanes if they just kind of end and throw you right in the traffic? I mean, if we're going to the effort to improve the safety in this intersection, and there are bike lanes that ought to connect through it, I mean,
Yeah, so we want a contiguous bike lane from the intersection of Hawthorne and Oglethorpe to Sunset Drive.
or we, you know, we want to continue the bike lanes that exist through the intersection.
Yeah, you can say it's the bike lanes that currently end 450 feet east of Sunset.
There.
And And Daniel, I think when we had talked previously, you mentioned that we have a little bit of money from the SPLOST 2011 bike bucket that's unencumbered potentially.
It may be. Stephen, are you aware of that?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
The 2011 funds for bike. Do we have 2011 funds for the bike infrastructure?
Yeah, there's about 800,000 in there. Right now it's all tied up with Barber.
But it hasn't been approved with Barber.
That's right. Yeah, we could use it. It doesn't have to be used for that. It was just designated, kind of trying to estimate how much Barber would be. But yeah, there's no reason why it couldn't go toward this.
And
Yeah.
and what that would do, I mean, we do have the, hopefully, we'll find out tomorrow, 2024 funding. It looks like we're looking for 1,900 feet of bike lane on north side, and I'm gonna measure the south side. But yeah, with that, we would be able to go ahead and I don't think we need necessarily a designation of the funds right now. That can be something that we could recommend at a future date. Yeah, it's 1950 on the south side, so almost 2,000 linear feet on either side. And this would be an expansion of the right-of-way to make those fit, and they would be full 5-foot wide bike lanes. I want to be clear on that. They just wouldn't be buffered or enhanced in any way. So, and that is an effort. And so in the future, once we do get to the Oglethorpe Avenue project, we can then look at the buffering and separated facilities that are called for in the Athens in Motion plan.
Right. So this motion is really just to move forward in exploring concepts to add the bike lanes to make this whole thing a bicycle friendly intersection and route. So I think that, you know, we don't need to tag any funds at this point.
Right.
Yes. Do we need to reread the motion or have someone read it, make it?
I will make the motion that that we recommend to mayor and commission to move forward on exploring concepts with the consultant to add bike lanes to the intersection of Hawthorne and Oglethorpe along Oglethorpe Avenue in order to connect existing bike lanes that currently end at Sunset Drive and then start up again at the fire hall 4. And we want to do this with minimal impact to the surrounding businesses.
Perfect. So Teresa has made a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Second from Randy. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor with looking into having bike lanes through the Oglethorpe and Hawthorne intersection, connecting existing bike lanes with minimal impact to businesses, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, this could be a really meaningful connection. I'm looking forward to seeing what the consultant comes up with. Yep. Those disappearing bike lanes, I know it's something that made me very nervous as a new transportation cyclist. So I think that this could go a long way to getting folks on the road who are interested in biking and having them continue to bike. Let me check where we are in our agenda. All right, we are doing well with time. Yes, we are on track. We have 19 minutes to talk about communications plan update, specifically the logos. And I'm going to repeat, we have just 20 minutes. So I will kick it over to Education and Communications Committee Chair, Teresa.
Okay, so we had a meeting with the consultants and we went over the strategy for our communications plan, and they basically did a brainstorming exercise with us to figure out, who our main audience targets are, and what we'd like to get across to them. And so that meeting will be followed up at some point soon, and we will then be able to present to Athens in Motion the proposed strategy, which will have some meat on its bones at that point. But the thing that we need to talk about today is the logos. I know that Daniel has had Ellen, I can't recall her last name.
Walker.
Thank you. Working on logos. And so if you have any that you want to show us, it'd be great to just have us all take a look at it. And then, not get into a big discussion about it right now, but then we can go and maybe do another poll like Randy had put together for us before, to see where we are with our preferences on what she's done. See if we like any of them, or we're heading in the right direction, or that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, and I've been looking for them for about 20 minutes, and I found them right before you asked that. So,
I had confidence in you, Daniel.
let me get that shared. Do. All right, can you see Athens in Motion?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
so yeah, so in this logo, she decided, no. So this is kind of showing what we currently have. I'm going to try to capture, unfortunately, she was unable to make the meeting. She's working at the polls today, so I'm glad that she could be there to do that for our city. But I will try to capture her talking points on each of these. It's been a minute since she talked about them, but this is kind of just, she was really excited about the idea and wanted to experiment around with some ideas. So this was kind of what she brought to me, and she said that some of these she just doesn't like, but she included to kind of show the process. So just to kind of give that amount of backstory. But this is something that she's kind of going with the icon idea and using a font that kind of showed motion and arrows and stuff like that. So you can see, and this is something that is stackable. If you were to remove the car, and then you could do, these 4 icons stacked, and then stack the Athens in Motion, or do it on either side of it. So if you wanted to have kind of 2 versions where there's a landscape and a stacked version, that could be done.
We should save our comments from the end for the end.
Yeah, let's just go through them all. I think this is just kind of like, I want to show you an idea of them, and then I'll get it in a format where you can see them all at once, and then we can kind of openly discuss. Since some of these kind of influenced another one, if that works for everyone.
Sure.
So this is one where she was just playing around with line weight, and also, so you can see this kind of A in there, and then the I, and then this is an M, and so, or this could be the I. So also just showing that arrow movement. This one has kind of a bike theme to it with the wheels, kind of showing rotation there. She did not love this one, but that idea of that just arrow and like using the letters as logo is an option. This is kind of using a more creative font that just has a lot more movement to it. I think she found this font. This is like as close as she could find to the font that was used in the plan. But it's that kind of, it looks like it's been painted. So that kind of movement. This is the playing around with the idea of a crosswalk that y'all had mentioned. She wasn't in love with this one either, but wanted to include it since that was something we talked about. And this obviously appears way more like a crosswalk than some of the previous designs where we were concerned it looked like more of a sailing sail or something. So this is that kind of road idea. And kind of just that artistic. It's kind of hard to read this font. She wasn't loving it, but it's a type of font that some places really like. This is more of a geometrical movement of kind of almost like, it reminds me of circuit boards, which I really like the way that those look, but there's some options there. This is that just kind of simple, also kind of a painted aesthetic. And these are a few different fonts that she had. She really liked this middle one here. This one's kind of playful. This one at the top is kind of hard to read with the cursive. But the symbol, it does look very active, like in the text. And this one down at the bottom also, she's just kind of going with movement and stuff. So this is like before even any feedback from me or from you guys. And so this is kind of just starting it off with some ideas and brainstorming of, when you bring out your sketch pad and you just start sketching to kind of run through some ideas. So wanted to see what y'all thought, and then we could probably set up a meeting to discuss with her once we can get that scheduled. And at the moment, we're not, she's offered to do this pro bono, so we're not held to any sort of deadlines with the fiscal year or anything. So there's no rush on this, but understandable if you want to get it in time to include. We can still incorporate this into all of our other communication plan items, but also understand if y'all would like to get it done sooner than later. So
Yeah. Okay. So, Teresa, and Daniel, like, what do you need from us in the next 10 minutes? Do you just want to do a temperature gauge? What would be most useful?
I feel like it's a lot to kind of absorb, and I guess I'd like to figure out, do we want to get out of this exercise like the kind of the main logo, like what's showing here, and a kind of letterhead type badge or something. What are we trying to get out of this? We want the main logo and then a short logo or a badge type of something?
Yeah, I think we all like this logo. It's just
Busy.
it's busy and it's comprehensive, and but it's hard to get down to a small size. So that's why we're looking at trying to find something simpler, and maybe, who knows, maybe that just doesn't work.
Mhm.
Maybe we can't have our cake and eat it too.
Exactly. I mean, I don't, I'm not in love with anything I've seen, including what we've got. I mean, I thought the first one that she ginned up was, I mean, it's not particularly creative or innovative, but that one, yeah. I mean, I thought that, it gets the job done. But again, I mean, I don't know if people have strong feelings about this.
I think what would be helpful for me is to kind of figure out a starting place to work from. And then like give her some feedback so she can really focus in. there's multiple rounds of iterations that we could go through. By no means, none of these are ready for like being our logo, but kind of, are there any of them like conceptually, or you like the idea of it? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
like this
I
one
do.
because it just sort of like it says it all. It's pretty easy to understand. It's not vague at all.
I think Aaron is trying to say something.
Yeah, I think it's important to have something transportation visual on this, because Athens in Motion could be anything to anybody. It could be the music scene. It could be whatever, it's related to Athens. I mean, anything moving forward could be motion. So I do like these transportation visuals on here.
Mhm.
Even the crosswalk. Overall, I like a lot of these better than anything we saw before.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
And I do like, I'm not sure what the font on this one, speaking of music, looks a little heavy metal, but
That's what I'm thinking.
I know, I'm like, can we get
Iron
an
Maiden.
icon with an electric guitar
Totally.
in there
That's
too?
it. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I was thinking. Iron Maiden. Yep.
That's funny.
yeah, but I
It reminds
like
me of
this.
the Bike Athens sign that says "Keep heavy metal rolling." Bike Athens,
I mean, if we all, it sounds like we're saying that this one is sort of headed in the right direction. And maybe we would want to like tweak the letterhead some, and just see if there's anything that maybe is a little less heavy metal and, a little softer, maybe. I don't know.
Mhm.
But I like that we're including all these different types of transportation modes and users, and they're all equal.
Yeah. Okay. We'll come back to, I have some other ideas about this logo, but I think that would be getting in the weeds. So
Right.
we'll just maybe take a quick look at some of the other ones and see if they stand out. So this is kind of cool. What I like about it is it's like the same style as the new Kia logo, except it makes more sense than the new Kia logo, which just looks like a K and an N to me.
Right. I don't like the new Kia logo, but
Not-
this looks kind of cool. I don't know.
I'm
think
not a
it
huge
was-
fan. I like the other one.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really.
It's subjective, right?
It says like fitness to me. I don't know why. I feel like a fitness brand.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Let's get moving, Athens.
All right. Anything else on this one?
Next.
Cool.
Meh.
Yeah. It wouldn't be bad. I think the O's should be going in the other direction because you're going backwards. And
Yeah, I was thinking that too, unless the bike is facing to the left. But I guess if we read
Right.
left to right, then the bike faces to the right, and the rotation should be that way. What you're
Yeah, I mean,
suggesting.
I don't hate this one. I think I like the other one with the little 5 circles better, but I don't hate this one. I like it better than the one, sorry, that Lauren liked. Sorry, Lauren. Sorry, LFA.
Which one? I don't know, the last one?
But she liked
Yeah.
the Kia logo one.
With the
no,
do-
I
do-
mean,
do-
no.
do- do.
I'm not in love with it. I'm saying I think it makes more sense than the Kia logo.
Yeah.
That's not saying
You're
a whole
damned
lot.
with faint praise.
All
Okay.
right. Anyway.
Yeah, this one also, like, it says bike to me. Like, you could almost develop the letters in a way so that your negative space kind of builds the bike frame, but then that kind of, Athens in Motion is not just about bikes, so that's where I like it, but I'm also like, well, if we were gonna be only bikes, then, that would be great.
Next, we have about 4 minutes
All
in
right.
this section.
Looks like a store sign.
Yeah.
All right. Nothing else? All right. I'll type that one out. Meh.
H&M.
Oh, that's right.
yeah.
That's what it does look like. You're
Hmm.
right.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Taking me back to Europe.
I'm gonna have to Google that later.
It's fast fashion, Daniel.
Yeah.
Back to the planet.
Yeah, I buy a clothes. I buy my clothes from Creature Comforts mostly, or other restaurants
Local.
in Athens.
Support local, yeah.
I like the brush stroke, the brush stroke. I
That
mean,
aspect
now,
of it is nice. The overall design is nice, but yeah, you're right. It is H&M.
Mhm. Yeah, or a pottery painting studio, you know.
I have to say, at least with each of these, I like the way that Ellen has like balanced the color and stuff. I
Yeah.
love the way that she has presented all of these, even, you know, if there's some that we prefer over others or don't care for individually.
Right. I mean, in a different application, it would be perfect. I mean, just thinking about who we are, and what we are trying to do, you know, and how we need to be branding ourselves in a way that people can understand. I don't think that quite gets there.
All right, 5 more to go.
Yep. Crosswalk.
I like it that it's both like a grounded crosswalk and an elevated crosswalk. So that's kind of fun for me.
I like the 3D part of it, but it's a little simplistic, maybe. I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah, overall, I like this the crosswalk aspect. They did a good job. She did a good job with that. I think better than what we've seen so far.
It's not bad.
Two like street or two car centric to me.
Highways.
Highway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, y'all. It's clearly a two-way cycle track.
There you go.
I mean,
Maybe throw a couple bike lanes on it. Maybe that would help. But
it's graphically pleasing, but
Yes.
again, I don't think it's you know, encapsulating who we are and what we do.
No, also, I think the thing to also focus on this one is this kind of idea of like the font switching up to a more in motion
Mhm.
between the two. That
Right.
was something she pointed out.
Right. I mean,
Mhm.
I think it's really nicely done. You know, it's very pleasing to look at.
Okay. Anything else?
Now this, after just having planned a wedding,
Yes, I
saw
was.
this font a
Exactly.
lot.
It feels kind of old fashioned, kind of
Now we dance, Athens.
romantic,
Yeah, it's
and
kinda-
it's like
yeah, too
romantical and
too
all
soft.
that. Yeah. So yeah.
Maybe that's a good way we can start attracting people to Athens in Motion, huh?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Mm.
We could do weddings on the bike lanes, you know. But that was fun, but it reminds me of a toy shop. I want to start building things.
I thought this one could be cool if there was different arrows overlapping and moving around and like kind of like a highway network system, like a map almost. Or it could have like an underlayment behind it that's maybe a little more, and then like sections are highlighted. I don't know.
Yeah, if there were a way maybe to work those little round icons in there somehow, that might make it work. I mean, maybe like a hybrid between that one and the first one that she showed us, not our original.
hmm Anything else?
I think what I like about this one is it goes back to our original idea of needing a short version, something that could be an icon. And so I just like that. It doesn't necessarily say transportation, but that's what I appreciate about this.
Mhm.
I almost like this idea with, because I love the acronym, such a great acronym, but also having the swirl around it. I almost think like an arrow, like what we saw that one logo with the two O's, that could be neat for a
Mhm.
little standalone design.
Right, it's a nice little badge
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Not sure how I feel about the paintbrush effect, but
This
Yeah.
would pair well with that Athens in motion with the two wheels, you know,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
once we have a strong brand recognition, then you throw this out there.
Yeah.
On,
mhm.
Or maybe we can, yeah, we can have the arrow and have the rock and roll font from number 2, AIM.
Well, what I think we ought to do is send these out to, everyone on the commission, and and to Scott Long as well, because I think that he has some really good ideas. Um, and then maybe we could just do another poll and see if there's like a strong preference, and then kind of set up a meeting from there. I mean, because I personally would like to not belabor this. I don't think we need to be like nutsy about getting the perfect logo.
Mhm.
You know, I'm going to put this out there, and I don't mean to skip over the people who aren't here, but maybe we could, based on this feedback, narrow it down and then come back to or send out a narrowed down list to the rest of everyone, because we have a quorum here.
Okay, well, let's do that
For
then.
what it's worth.
Well, I could throw in a third idea. I'm kind of taking down your comments here. We don't necessarily need a vote. I think I could go back to her with these comments. This is kind of before she even got word that that we were open to getting help with the logo. So she didn't want to. This is like one evening of sketching out ideas, and she didn't want to get too detailed with it because you know how that can get.
Right.
So I can take our comments that we've got. I've been taking notes, and I'll send them on to her as feedback, and then we can have either at our next meeting, I can try to get her to come on, or we could go ahead and schedule a communications meeting, and anyone else is welcome, obviously, to come and look at that. What are y'all's thoughts there?
Yes. Let's go ahead and send this back to her, and then let's schedule another communications meeting that everyone's invited to.
Excellent.
Okay, if
Did
you
y'all
want.
have any feedback on these fonts?
The third one down, I liked best. Like I think that's the one she mentioned, and
Yeah.
that's my favorite
Mhm.
as well. The second one down looks a little bit Flintstonesy, kind of Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah, I mean, I like that.
Maybe
third.
Jetsons. Maybe Jetsons. I don't know.
Yeah, third one, and then rock and roll font.
there you go.
I mean, this is a music
Yeah.
town, right? I don't know. Can we be as cool as the musicians?
Yeah.
Oh, easily.
Three definitely looks good.
Oh, Craig says, my daughter likes number 1, my wife number 2 of the numbered slides.
Okay.
Thank you for that, Craig.
Yeah.
Yeah, so number 1 has broad appeal.
So
It should
that's
be used.
his daughter. Craig's daughter likes that, and then his wife likes number 2, which is the one with the icons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we got closer to a standalone badge idea too, which is great.
Yeah.
These are very
Yeah,
helpful.
I think we're really making some progress with this. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so if you can give that feedback to Ellen, Daniel.
Will
Yeah,
do.
that third font down with this one, maybe, or I don't know if you need a more sans serif font. Anyway, I'm not a designer. What do I know?
Yeah, all right. Daniel, thank you for taking notes on that, and we greatly appreciate Ellen for throwing out some ideas. I do want to make sure that if she does work for us, that she gets compensated. So can y'all make sure that that happens? People should be paid for their work,
Absolutely. No free lunches.
right?
Yeah, do y'all want to
Except
go
us.
ahead and, are y'all wanting to use current year's funding and try to get this wrapped up before the end of
Yes,
the,
because we need to
Yeah,
spend
do
it.
we have enough time to do that?
you, it depends on how many times y'all want to review it. But yeah, we could just, the product has to be delivered, for us to spend it. So do you have an amount that y'all would like to, do y'all want to discuss it, or
What's our deadline?
the end of fiscal year is June 30th, but it needs to be spent out like ideally like a week before that so that we can make sure all the paperwork's all in and everything. So
Can we kick it? Can Education Communications Committee talk about that during their meeting?
sure.
Let's do that.
Yeah. And then yeah, if y'all have ideas of how much y'all would want to compensate, or maybe
Well,
if she has like someone to donate to in the name of or something, I don't know.
if she could give us an idea of what the value of what she's doing is, that would be helpful because, I mean, if she's $400 an hour or $50 an hour, that's a big difference.
Yeah. If we have the time, then I would like Education Communications Committee to look into that and figure that out.
Right.
Okay.
Rather than talk about it on here.
Yeah, let's go on to the next thing then.
Cool. Nice. That was the quickest discussion of logos and visual materials I have ever been a part of. So thank y'all.
Proud of you, Athens in Motion.
Yes. Next, staff updates until 5:30. Todd, are you still with us after all that?
I'm still here.
All right.
So, um, just a super quick update. The trestle is still moving along. I guess you've seen the bridge over Poplar Street. The arch has begun, and the wooden poles are scheduled to be set August 8th, and the bridge will be open, is scheduled to be open basically January of 2023. So that's the Firefly Trestle Bridge over the creek. And then the cemetery's moving along. They're getting ready to pour the walls right there at the bridge, the cemetery's bridge. And so we're moving forward on that one, and it's still on schedule for a late fall completion, I believe. So, and then Firefly 3, which is the segment that closes the gap. Derek is still working on easement agreements, and we're also hoping for the T-Squas vote today. And so that one is once we know after the vote and all, he'll know whether he can just start rolling into construction design and the full blown project and complete it. So we're just kind of tentatively waiting, but he's go get all the easements, of course, for the whole project first before he starts construction. So, but that's basically the three main construction projects we got going on. The Cars Creek Greenway, it's still moving along as well. So, but nothing really new to report on it. They're still in design stage.
Mark, you had a question?
Yeah, about the where the cemetery, the connection to Dudley Park that would go under the bridge. I think that was a GDOT project. Do you
Correct.
have any schedule on that? When
So
do you think that's going to happen?
So GDOT has originally had an October 2022 let date to go out to bid, and they have now pushed it into the first quarter of 2023. for a construction let date. So,
Okay.
it's all, they're waiting on their funding. So, or
Okay.
something. What, no, I'm sorry. I know what it is. They are not the bridge engineer, the GDOT bridge engineer is not happy with all of their, calculations, and on the, right there where the creek and the river intersect, they had to do a little more geotechnical information to satisfy one of the bridge engineers.
Okay, where Trail Creek comes into the river, or
Correct. Where
Gotcha.
that confluence is, they're doing, that's, he had a little question, and so he asked them to do some additional geotechnical work in that area.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
so that was the delay.
Okay, great. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Todd, you were mentioning about the Firefly Trail timeline. So I know you said Derek's still acquiring easements. If T-Splosh passes and he continues to acquire easements, I guess at the rate which he's going, and can begin, I guess, the bid for construction, what kind of timeline are we looking at to have a complete trail from Athens to Winterville? Or is it something like 2 years from now,
I
3
think 2
years?
years is a reasonable amount of time. So it should easily fall within that 2-year window, is
Is it
what I
there?
understand.
Yeah, there are no bridges. There's nothing terribly technical out there, right?
Yeah, so I think he he would not quite be. I don't think it'd even be a 1-year construction timeline and that kind of stuff. But I'm
Yeah.
not positive. But just from talking to Derek, it sounds like it would literally be, like you said, 2 years. He's just got to wrap up the easements, because I believe he was trying to get a lot of his easements done before the mayor and commission changes over with the new, with whoever gets elected, is what his goal is, to get all the easements in front of them before that they make that changeover. That way you have that continuity of these people have, were a part of the phase 3
Right.
vote, and that kind of stuff is what his goal is.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Todd. I was out in the Marigold Festival, and Randy was there too, and a lot of folks very excited about this trail and having a continuous, safe path between Winterville and Athens.
Yep. So
There was a lot of positive feedback and discussions. Definitely.
Yep.
Yep, I use it pretty much every day, and I'm seeing all kinds of people out there. Yesterday, saw a gentleman just walking with an umbrella, and he had a destination in mind. Saw a woman running. I saw a couple with their grocery bags from Family Dollar. Saw 1 or 2 people biking, and then even a person on, it wasn't a one wheel, it was like a motor unicycle, I guess. I think that's legal, but I'm down with it.
yeah, I think, Daniel, aren't we scheduled to have the, the transportation and public, or y'all's parking lot come online in October? I mean, it's August, September-ish timeline, I believe. Do you know?
I'm not positive. Steven, do you know?
Yeah, I think that's pretty soon. It's I think Streets and Drainage has that on their schedule,
Yeah.
like upcoming.
Yeah. So we're just waiting on the rapid flashing beacons things to come in and everything. So.
All right.
Exciting times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Todd.
All right. From
All right,
I may
Dan.
leave because I got another meeting to go to at
Oh,
6.
great.
So anyway,
Good times. So thanks for staying on. Bye.
see ya.
All right, next is Daniel's segment. I think we might end up going over a little bit here. So, Daniel, what do you want to get into first?
Can you pull up the agenda?
Mm-hmm. Happy to do that. And y'all, I'm eating, so you might see my camera off, but I am here.
All right. I think one thing that I wanted to definitely take care of is that budget. We discussed last time donating the money for bike lights. So I wanted to kind of follow up on that. We got basically a light set comparison from Scott, and he included a few different types. There are some that are USB rechargeable and some that are not. The idea there would be we could just buy some of both and then give people an option. You know, if they have the ability to charge it, then you know that could be helpful to get a rechargeable just to extend the life. But if people do just want kind of some, you know, if they have their lights stolen off their bike all the time and they're like, you know what, I just want an extra set just in case, or you know, these will just get stolen again. I'm fine with the, you know, it's like, well, come back and get some more, and then, you know, if they get stolen, and so the idea there would just be give them a choice of what type of lights, and then he is looking to essentially get work on his outreach and getting it out to people. And so did y'all have a number in mind of how much you wanted to donate to help them with lights?
You're thinking a grand or two, or we have 5,000 to spend. We also want to use some of that on the graphic design. Is that right?
And we also wanted to, I haven't gotten the final list. I have the next thing that we also want to discuss the public outreach tabling materials. So I
Okay.
don't have a price on that, but let me pull up the accounts.
Yeah. Daniel, I'm sorry I left off the tabling materials.
I just remembered it when I saw that item, so not a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, so well, you know what? Let's look at that list real quick, because if we want to, it kind of depending on what all we buy, like I won't know how much this costs, but it might be helpful to just go ahead and do the tabling bit.
Okay.
So the shopping list includes a 10 by 10 tent, 2 lightweight foldable tables, plans tube for just if it's raining or anything, you can, that's like a very cheap purchase. We might even have one out in laying around leisure services somewhere. But I figure we go and get a new one. Brochure holders, so business card holders, those types of things where if you wanted to have a little thing out on the table. Carrying totes for carrying everything. So those could be plastic bins with like for the cars and stuff that Teresa usually brings out, or even just for public input things, papers, forms, those types of things, brochures. It also helps keep the brochures from getting crushed when you've got it in the tote. A-frame sign for kind of getting a little more attention. Maybe one of those plastic ones. 2 tripods that could be expanded to hold larger network plans once those plans are developed. A wagon for carrying everything. That's something that has been super helpful as we do public input. It's always good to have a wagon that you can just put it all in and pack it out. And then
Bike
I've got
wagon.
2. There you go. Get it with a little bike attachment. I like that. And then 2 acrylic 8.5 by 11 paper holders. Is that just like a clipboard kind of thing?
It's I feel like Bike Athens had some of these, so it's something, it's acrylic, it stands on its own, but you can just slip an 8.5 by 11 paper in there, so that could be useful
Yeah.
if we want to have a mini sign, like, you know, we can easily run that off like at Belgian or something like that versus having a full-size poster and you just slip it in this clear thing, a couple of these clear things, or a big QR code if we have a survey or some kind of tool. Just print that out and it's in the clear acrylic stand thing.
What about some clipboards? Would that be helpful?
What about a couple of chairs? Folding chairs? Is that feasible?
Yep. that
Folding
makes
camp
sense.
chairs?
Yeah.
Teresa,
Yeah.
we were going to get you a sandwich board too, so you could, you know,
I want a sandwich board.
I was thinking you would want that. Yes.
And then also I'll just have a sign to carry like
One of those
this.
spinning signs so you can spin it around and, you know,
There you
Athens in
go.
motion. Yeah.
And you do the big arrow that is
Right.
it's the logo.
See,
the new
it's
I was
logo.
perfect.
working
It's
my
perfect.
routine on Timothy Road.
How about a wavy guy?
Awesome.
All right, but yeah, I mean, if
Oh,
we
wavy guy. Yeah.
So
could get a general, you know, price amount for this stuff, that would give us an idea of what we've got left, and then we'll get a general idea of what the cost of the graphic design work is, and
yeah.
then we'll know what we have left to work with, and you know how much we can spend on the bike lights.
So here's what I think we should do here. Because for our we don't have like a certain source necessarily that gives us, you know, there's not like public input expo.com or anything. If I will send this list out to Athens in Motion listserv, if someone can volunteer to go on Amazon and find a link for all of the items.
Mhm.
I believe we could also, if you don't want to do Amazon, totally understandable. But we are bound to stores that we have accounts with. So, Stephen, would Office Depot or is it Office Max? Which?
I think it's Office Depot.
So,
We can check with Julia.
yeah.
Are they the same now? Office Max and Depot, aren't they?
I think there was
I
more.
believe they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any other stores that we have accounts with? I guess Walmart probably.
All right, well, I'll do that if you'll send me the, you know, the specific list so I know exactly what I'm looking for. Then I
All right.
can do that.
Thanks a lot, Teresa. Really appreciate that.
No problem. I don't have to
All right.
earn a paycheck, so I got free time.
All right.
Teresa's
So
like,
once
I don't have
you,
campaigning or T-splossing anymore after today. Load me up.
all right. So if there's anything else that you guys think of between now and then, go ahead and send that to Teresa. I am sending it to her, or I can send it to the listserv as a whole. What would y'all prefer?
Why don't you send it to the listserv as a whole and then just, you know, if you put a note on it saying that I'm going to be looking up some pricing on that.
All right.
Suggestions, please share.
So I don't think that's going to be like the items here. I think it's probably a few $100s.
But we would want to have would we want to have a logo printed on the tent?
Well,
Or
we can do that later. There's companies we can get to do that logo print. Now, if they're, yeah, because if we order from a specific company that does that with the tents, then there's no telling because we would have to set up a new tax-free ID thing with that company. And I think it'd be easiest to just send that off to a printer in the next fiscal year once we have the logos and stuff.
okay, so we can
And
buy
the
this stuff
same
and-
goes for if you wanted to like buy a bunch of T-shirts to then get printed.
Yeah.
You know, at a local place. That's something that could be done too. So.
Okay. Okay.
And
Well, we
then
can do it
we
after
want to
we
get
have-
those
May.
done ASAP.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right. There is that sent out to y'all. Now back to the bike lights. And I am trying to get the most recent balance sheet sent to me. Mhm. Did y'all have any other things that you wanted to talk about?
One way to do it would be to buy the things that we've just discussed that we think are important, and then give what's left over to Bike Athens for the bike lights up to a maximum amount we can set at 500 or 750 or 1,000 or whatever. And that was one way.
We would probably need to, depending on when our next meeting is,
Mhm.
we would probably need to do a special called session to approve that funding amount.
Yeah, our next meeting is scheduled for May 28th, but you know something we could do, I don't know about everyone's availability, is we could move that meeting on the 28th up to the 21st.
Mhm.
Would that be helpful?
I mean, that
Mhm.
gives us enough time before the budget deadline, doesn't it?
It's cutting it close, depends on delivery time, but I guess,
I mean, whatever is gonna work, let's work around that. If we need a special call, I don't care about that. I'm happy to do it. But,
all right. I have March. I'm not seeing anything from April. Steven, do you know if the April monthly reports have gone out? Or May?
Let me double check.
The March report shows $5,750 in that account, but
The
it's
April
not
reports went out on 5/16.
516.
well, the only thing we've spent money on yet is Tool, right?
No, there was a few other things.
Okay.
Oh, yep, I got it. Thank you. I don't know why that wasn't coming up. All right. So there was there's been Banesh with the tool stuff. There was Keep Athens Clean and Beautiful. The invoice for that fee, the booth fee,
Mhm.
and then a couple other things for Banesh. So we are currently, we have spent $1,189. We have 5,076 encumbered and 5,735 in the balance. So need to get some of that spent out. The encumbrances, those should get paid out. Those are mostly from Banesh, and we're getting, they're hard at work on that. So
Okay.
um,
All right.
I
Well, that's
think,
helpful to know that we've
yeah,
got this much money left to spend. So, okay.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of how many lights do y'all want, and like, but we don't want to just fill up, have Bike Athens have a horde of lights and nothing to do with them. So we could, maybe 1,000 or
Well,
I
that's
don't
why I
know.
said up to a maximum, up to some maximum amount.
Yeah. Well, it seems like we have plenty to go ahead and just approve that amount and we can go ahead and get moving on it, or would y'all prefer to wait until after the logos and this booth purchase?
This looks like it'll cost less than $2,000 would be my rough estimate, and probably significantly less than that. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Doing the math, at 25 bucks, I think you said right around $25 for the cheaper lights, and 1,000, that'll give us 40, maybe 40 lights, so.
I think that's good.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, I'm seeing a range between like $15 and 35. So around 1,000 we're thinking,
Yeah.
starting with
Works for me.
1,000.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. So we need a motion.
I move that we give Bike Athens $1,000 to purchase good quality bike lights at their discretion.
I second.
All right, and further discussion, I'll just remind the public how important lights are. In the state of Georgia, we are legally required to have a front flashing light at a minimum. Of course, a rear light is not required, but it's helpful. Visibility does tend to be an issue in when people are on bikes and they are in crashes with other vehicles, with other people in cars. So this is really important, giving out these lights.
Yeah, the last two fatalities were at night on cyclists or for cyclists.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so important not just that cyclists see, but that motorists see cyclists, and that's what bikes
Right.
or lights
Right.
really help with.
Exactly.
All right. It's a little money that goes a long way to keep our Athenians safe. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor for authorizing $1,000 to go to Bike Athens for bike lights at their discretion, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. All right, I'm glad to do that. Check that one off.
All right.
It's 5:33. Daniel, I know there's still some other important items that you would like to update us on. And I don't think that we have a lot of important updates for the committees, but I do want to make sure we can do a quick round of that. And we probably
Yeah.
won't have time for discussion today. We have so much to talk about, y'all.
Well, just I already mentioned the Vision Zero resolution idea. Working on that. Let me know if you are wanting to participate. We've been having discussions about streetlight data. That's the kind of data analytics platform that would allow us to see kind of volume and use. There's a really cool screenshot where they showed all of the roadways broken down by percentage of users that were bikes. And do you have that picture, Lauren? Did I send that to you? Let me see. I might actually have that.
Yes, you did not send it to me, but you showed it to me.
Okay. I just thought it was really interesting. At first I was like, oh man, that's like, how is that where all of our bike traffic is? But then I started looking closer at the analysis, and it does show that it was specifically for percentage of road users. So this is kind of looking at the county at an angle, and you can see Carlton is our heaviest percentage of bike riders using that. And after thinking about it, I think it makes sense because I think cars are often stuck in traffic on that road, and the cyclists can just keep going by. So your volume of car traffic doesn't really go up that much when everyone's stuck in traffic, but your bikes can continue to go. So I thought maybe that was kind of the thought. And then on Lumpkin Street down to 5 Points, and on Millage and East Campus here, those are all really heavily used. Baxter Street is actually more than I thought, but then that drops off immediately once you hit Millage because of those bike lanes out on that end of Baxter Street. And then it kind of picks up back around Alps. There's definitely kind of the same amount up here on Prince, and some through downtown on West Broad Street, which was kind of shocking because that is not a pleasant ride. So, I think the reason you're seeing the greenway is so low is when you look at the percentage of bikes versus pedestrians, it's just showing that there's a much higher rate of pedestrians using the greenway. Because once again, this isn't volume, this is like percentage of users. So
Okay, percentage. Okay.
yeah, that's what threw me off at first too.
Mm-hmm.
But so the really high yellow areas are 1.5 to 1.7% road users are cyclists. So this could be a really cool analytics platform if we have it. We are working to see if that is something we can get. So I'll keep you updated on that. Besides that, I think Barber Street, we'll have something soon. We reviewed with them and gave them some feedback. I'm expecting that'll be in the next fiscal year, so that'll be maybe towards the end of summer. We're looking to have that. Roundabout, West Broad, public information, open house is now closed. We compiled the comments and most of those agree with the project. A small portion disagreed, and an even smaller portion are willing to consider agreeing in the future, but they just weren't sure without more information. We're continuing to talk with the businesses on the south side that are most impacted, and we don't have a ton of issues there. So we are now getting back into preliminary design, and the next step will come soon. So any questions regarding Barber or Roundabout? All right. Are there any other, let's see, pulling up the agenda now to see if I missed anything.
Yeah, do you want to talk about West Broad Atlanta Highway?
Oh, right, the GDOT road safety audit. We don't have a ton of time on that. How interested are people in seeing that report? Because I could
Yes.
also just send it to the commission.
Why don't you send it to us?
Okay. To give you context for it, and then y'all can review it at your leisure, and then get comments back to me. So this is the road safety audit from a few months ago, I think back in October. And with that road safety audit, of course, it's not letting me pull it up now. They gave us a report. It's a few hundred pages and a layout concept of it. And we walked from Sycamore to the new roundabout location at Hancock. So this report includes all sorts of safety considerations and recommendations, and they are looking for comment from Athens. I've been compiling comments from the department. I got Lauren looped in on that, so hopefully she can get some comments in as well, and she could kind of condense y'all's comments to send on. It's kind of a short timeline, but if you have a chance to get comments in to her before Thursday, the deadline for comments, I believe, is Friday. So there's the layout, which includes kind of the immediate action steps. So when you look at that, you're going to be like, this is still just a road. There's no bike lanes. There's no sidewalk gaps. But that's because the funding mechanism they're using, it really just goes towards the immediate projects. And those bike lanes and sidewalk projects are mid to long range. So they're not on that map, but they are in the report. And so that is something to look at when reviewing that, just looking through the report for it. So unfortunately, it is not coming up right now. Oh, there, okay. Right when I say that.
Okay, so without getting in the weeds too much on this, but since, people are going to be looking at this and sending me comments on it, clarity here. Are they saying that they recommend bike lane, sidewalk, something, but they want Athens-Clarke County to fund it? Are they willing to partner with us? What do we know and what do we not know?
Stephen, what's your understanding of that?
The report itself shows some spreadsheets, and there's some tables in there that show kind of responsible funding parties for each action. And so it breaks down, and remember, GDOT doesn't consider themselves one big entity either. They've got the safety office, which has their own set of funding, and then our own district office in District 1, who has a separate pot of money, and then the locals for like us. So they have that kind of broken down to who they feel like would be the responsible agencies. But even in that case, if Athens came to if it says, oh, Athens is responsible for this, but we come to the district and we say, look, we've got some money, would you be willing to partner? There's still room for discussion on that.
Yeah. So for example, this is the kind of thing where the recommendation could say, repair the existing sidewalks were damaged east of Alps Road, Hawthorne Avenue. It's a low safety benefit. It's intermediate project, low cost, responsible agency would be us. And there were 8 field observations that address this. There's some notes in there. So in this, we could say, we disagree. We don't think it should be us to repair. Not saying that that is our comment, but just like this is kind of how to look at that. And I think there's a few other ones. Consider installing bicycle lanes. This one says OTO safety, Athens-Clarke County. So this is saying that it would be a joint project between the two. And it could be implemented with potential road diet. So, and what that's referring to is based on traffic counts, they found that on the western side, going west from here out towards Atlanta Highway, 6 lanes are needed, but heading east, the amount of traffic that is actually going on that road could necessitate a road diet, which would, we would have the turn lanes, but and I'm one of the comments I'm providing is if we shift this median up instead of making a really large median, that would free up this right lane to use for various things, whether in this area it could be some dedicated turn boxes or turn lanes or something. But in this next area, it could be for essentially just giving a little more space between those businesses and a future multi-use path that would go on the south side here. So, yeah, I'll send this out. I think there's a lot to digest on it, so
Right.
I don't want to rush anybody, but I think it's worth taking a look at. And yeah, as far as grants go, we can talk about that more during the safe route or the the grants committee because they already kind of helped us with that. So there, but other upcoming grants that we haven't discussed there yet. There's one for reconnecting neighborhoods. It's a pilot program that NOFO drops in June, I believe. So we'll be getting started as we're kind of in the middle of working on our current one. So anyone who wants to help with grants, feel free to join the grants committee because we could use it. And I appreciate everything that they've already done just to kind of get things prepared. We had our kickoff meeting for, it's called Safe Streets for All. I'll let Mark talk more about it, but we had our kickoff meeting with staff today to go over some ideas. So that's something that we're really excited about. And that should give us 15 minutes for the rest of the meeting.
Thank you, Daniel. And real quick, coming back to Atlanta Highway West Broad, understanding what's the difference between short-term, medium-term, and long-term. Short-term, was it like 1 or 2 years? Medium-term, 5 years. Long-term is 10 or more years. I'm trying to.
It might be, we usually define that in the report itself.
Okay.
So
Sure.
I
It's at the
don't
top.
know what their short is. Stephen, do you?
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I remember it's near the top of the report. It kind of explains
Yeah.
which is what.
So I will go ahead and find that, and then you can get them. You can move on to the next topic, and I'll interject with what short term is.
Okay. Committees. All right. Any updates from
Oh.
any of our?
I actually just found it. If
Okay,
you
go
want me to. Short term is 4 to 6 months. Intermediate is 7 to 24. Long term is longer than 24. And then the safety benefit is minimal. Safety impact for roadway users is low. Moderate is some impact on safety, and high is offers great potential to improve safety. And then cost low is 0 to 20,000. Expected to be completed by GDOT maintenance crews or local agencies. Moderate is 20 to 200. likely to be utilized as quick response project by GDOT district office, and then high is above 200,000, which would require GDOT program project with full plan development process. So there you go.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that because I had a totally different idea about what short, medium, and long term was. I was thinking in terms of decades. Okay, I feel good about this now. Good. We might see some really great things very soon along Atlanta Highway West Broad.
Amen.
Yes. Speaking of Atlanta Highway West Broad and our corridor committees, any updates from any of the corridor committees? Atlanta Highway, Lexington Road, Prince Avenue? Anyone want to jump?
Our monthly on Atlanta Highway was canceled because basically there's nothing to report. So
Thank you, Teresa. Mark?
Yeah, Prince Avenue, we have a meeting coming up tomorrow, and they're going to be describing the plan for the 3-laning pilot project on Prince Avenue. Several of us have major concerns that they're only planning to do Pulaski to Barber, which is a completely inadequate pilot test, because no one's going to, why would I possibly want to get on my bike to ride 1,000 feet and then get dumped back onto Prince Avenue's traffic? It makes no sense. I think it's money that's the reason for that, probably, but several of us are concerned that it's going to be an inadequate test and kind of set it up for failure. And at least I'd like to hear a lot more about why that was selected, and we'll be asking about that tomorrow.
I can help a little bit with that. I think the pilot test is not so much to test out the how many cyclists use it. We know that bike lanes will get used really heavily on Prince, so I'm not as personally. That's not my purpose for it. I think the concern is that when you look at the traffic volumes along the road, that was the segment that had the greatest impact to, or that was the one that was most worrying to traffic engineers about, we've modeled it and it could cause a huge traffic pileup congestion. If we 3-lane this section, what would that do for traffic, and how bad would it actually be compared to what the models are saying?
My concern is that the public, I understand that, and that makes a lot of sense, Daniel, and I appreciate that. But my concern is that the public perception will be, you're doing all this, and look, nobody's using these bike lanes because, of course, they don't go anywhere. And that, I think we have to be prepared how we, handle that perception, and how we explain that what the intent was, and what the metrics are that we're using to make that decision going forward. So, that's it's more the public perception that I'm really concerned about.
Yeah, Mark,
Anyway,
that's a really good point. And I think the communication to the public beforehand, during, and then the post-evaluation message is the most important part of this. I mean, that's the measure of success. We know from lessons learned that it's really less about how many people use it during the pilot, and more about what the data that we're able to show as far as level of service and safety pre and post. So and getting that message out. I think we had data in times past that just did not get out there the way it should have, and so public perception was incredibly negative in the past. So yeah, you make a very good point.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
thanks, Steve. Daniel.
I did want to go back to Atlanta Highway real quickly. An update that is happening right now. This week, GDOT reached out to us and said that they are interested in revisiting the intersection of Atlanta Highway at Timothy and Mitchell Bridge as part of their project.
Wow.
Yeah, look at Teresa's face.
What? How did that happen?
So they're interested in doing a scoping study just to see, what type of improvements would be beneficial there, and we'll be probably reaching out to the Atlanta Highway user group soon to see if they're interested. It would be a funding partnership of about $500,000 total to do a study out there and see what works, and they're looking for a local match of about 50% on that. So we're going to be bringing that to Atlanta Highway user group at their next meeting.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephen.
That's some good news right there. Nice.
Yeah, that's news to me. That's cool.
All right. Transportation looking good in Athens. Randy, you got something?
Good, looking good.
Yeah, for the Lexington corridor and the Derek Doster at the May 12th Mayor and Commission meeting presented the latest plans for the sidewalk installation along the corridor. And he said it was very well received. And now they're going to start working on putting together the online survey and scheduling public engagement meetings.
Right, so this is a sidewalk along South Side as recommended by the user group connecting the bus stops up to the GDOT project with the on-ramp for Barnett Shoals, right?
Yes.
And it also includes sidewalk on a gap on the north side in front of traffic engineering between a bus stop and on-street sidewalks that they kind of continue going up and up and up and around, connecting to the businesses that are like 15 feet above grade. But those sidewalks don't connect back down, so it would add in a connection there as well. And the way that we're going to be doing the public input on that, it's not so much like, do you support this, do you not? It's more of like, in my opinion, more of a public information session of just like, here are the sidewalk gaps we're doing. Do you have any that are high priority? We're still planning on doing all of them, but just to, and then we're also planning on having stakeholder input from businesses along there to just, give them a voice.
Okay, great. Anything else from corridors? And I imagine if T-SPLOS passes, if we get some good news tonight, y'all, the work is just beginning. I just have that to say. So I'm going to be optimistic that it passes, and let's try and be patient with Daniel and Stephen and Ronnie because they might get really, really busy. Hopeful. All right, our committees, grants and data.
We met,
Gonna be busy too.
when did we meet? Earlier this week, I think, must have been sometime. Anyway, we met and talked about the SS2A, Safe Streets for All, SS4A grant program. So we are going to be, or Daniel is going to be applying for that in the city, and we're going to try to be supportive. Thanks to Jake and Teresa for helping to fill out. There's a grid or a table with 9 criteria. So one of the questions is, are we applying for more of a planning type grant versus actually an implementation? And we believe we're very close to meeting, or actually do meet, the criteria for an implementation grant. Those are bigger numbers. There's a lower likelihood of funding, but it's the difference between a really good chance at $500,000 to $1 million, if I remember this correctly, and a pretty good chance at 10 to 20 million. And we figure if we're ready to take that next step, then we should pursue that, and that we supported that. The bad news is we did not get the AARP. There was a small grant for $20,000 to get 9 benches for along the Greenway and the Firefly, and we did not get that. I just heard about that a few days ago. So anyway, try again.
And just to kind of clarify on that, I put it in chat, but 200,000 to 1 million for action planning grant, and 5 million to 30 million for the implementation grant. And we have one thing left to do for to be eligible, and that is the Vision Zero resolution, which I am currently working on a completely different note, nothing related there. It did work out really well that, the plan was get the position, and then we would do the resolution after that. So I am glad that we are able to still stick with that original idea and plan, and we're hoping that position passes so that we can continue pushing forward with reducing fatalities and making Athens safer. So.
Right, yeah, and for the benefit of the public, I mean, we have these plans in place because we need them in order to apply for these grants. So I know sometimes it looks like in Athens, we just love our plans and nothing happens with them, but things really do happen. They really do matter. Having our policies in place and our ducks in a row ensure that when we do have such a great opportunity as all these grants that are coming down the pike, that we are eligible for them. So they are really important.
One other thing to add from the Prince Avenue Corridor Committee, we had a really cool presentation. It was almost 2 hours long, and I think I got through about an hour of it. But it was this group that came, the city, you know, hired them to basically do a 24-hour visualization of the corner of Pulaski and Prince. And you could see all of the near misses, and they can calculate if you have so and so many near misses in a day, you're likely to have so and so many accidents at the end of a year. And it was absolutely fascinating. And it made me think it would be really cool to do that before and after the 3-laning pilot to see, because that would be a way to really measure the safety impact. Because I think currently there's a lot of, you know, we're going to have a lot of data on the congestion and the speed impact, but to really understand the safety impact, that might be a way to think about that. Because I think, you know, we are trying to really shift the mindset from congestion speed to safety first, and that might be part of that. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Mark. I think we're, as a user group, voting on that on tomorrow to implement pre and post usage of that same Street Simplified model.
Oh, cool. I didn't even read the agenda. I didn't know that. That's cool. Okay, nice.
Yep.
Nice, nice. I love that.
Great.
Okay, policy and projects. So I am pleased to announce that Randy is now the chair of this committee and will be giving updates going forward on this committee. This is my last time updating y'all. And then we are prioritizing, I said bike lane ordinance prioritization, but what it means is bike law ordinance prioritization. So we have, we went through a bunch of laws as assembled by Cole Scott. We evaluated them, ranked them, and have figured out what's going to be low hanging fruit. And Daniel's going to take another look at the ones that were ranked most highly and determine like what could we potentially pass here in Athens. Of course, the first example was you can't park in a bike lane if you are driving a vehicle, which we do not have an ordinance on that currently. And then the other thing, Daniel discovered that there was a crosswalk policy that was started, and it's almost done, but there's some technological advancements that have occurred since this policy was started, such as our favorite blinky flashies. Those did not exist when those started. So we'll be looking into that as a committee. Daniel, did I describe all that correctly?
Yeah.
Cool. Education and communications. Teresa, anything else besides the logos and the communications plan?
I think we've discussed it enough.
Great. All right. Our other committees and commissions, Carly is not here. Daniel, anything from the Greenway?
Nothing that I'm aware of. I was unable to make their last meeting though,
Okay. And
because
we got the
they
update from
changed their
Todd, so-
schedule. Those are now at 3 o'clock instead of 4. So
Okay. Yeah, and Blaine's not here to give us an update on UGA stuff. I know they're expanding the whole street deck. Aaron, we have not had a TSPOS 2018 meeting, have
I
we?
do have an update kind of regarding campus.
Oh,
There was, and you're aware of this, until further notice, the trestle between William Street, where you go on William Street and go under to get on Baldwin Street, that is closed down. Stephen, do you know more about what happened?
Yeah, over the weekend, it was a crane tried to drive under it and unsuccessfully. And
Bridges always
actually
win.
slammed into the steel girder there. So they've got an engineering consultant looking at it to see what it would take to be open for traffic. In the meantime, there's signage for motorist and pedestrian detours up Mitchell Street, I think.
Yeah, and we do have a map. Is the detour map something that is open to the public, or are we still developing that?
There's a version of it on TPW's website that is you're able to look at it, and I think it's about to get a makeover.
Okay, so yeah, right. We're doing some work on it, but if you ever have questions about road closures and stuff, that is something that is on our website.
Just curious, is that, because it's a parking lot above there, how is that, is it managed by the city, the trestle itself?
Trestle is UGA's, yeah. So unfortunately for them, fortunately for us.
Yeah. Because that thing's pretty antiquated too, good gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
y'all, I mean, I counted the trunks, the tree trunks that comprise that trestle. I got it to like 148 one time. That's just the center stuff. Okay, yeah, thanks for that update. Yeah, that is part of my walking route, and I know I've since learned it was an accident over the weekend. So I'm glad that we have some detours up for our pedestrians. So we have a way to get around, and I just want to say it has been really helpful, like when the Trail Creek trestle has been constructed, and when we've had to close the switchback, there's always been a lot of great notice. And I really appreciate, seeing the maps for the detour. So I just like it when we can have that experience anytime there's a closure. So appreciate that. And then Blaine's not here, so that was our UGA update. Yay! I hope that in a couple hours we'll get some good news about T-Splosh 2023. I will be downtown. Watching the election results roll in.
Is there a location that is doing that?
I think that there are some places where folks are meeting up, and I'm happy to tell y'all about those in an email. So yeah,
Great.
but I know this group submitted, Athens in Motion submitted 5 projects to T-Splosh. In the end, the advisory committee recommended 4 of them, and I think we have 3. But then a lot of the projects mentioned do reference the Athens in Motion plan, which is useful for help getting those things passed and getting additional funding. And I'm optimistic about our infrastructure here in Athens in the future, even as construction costs continue to go up, but I'm hopeful. So thank you all for your hard work this past year. I know it's been a lot. And Teresa, you were part of that process and also on T-Splosh as well. Thank you for your dedication to improving transportation in Athens in particular.
Well, thank you, Lauren. You've been a great leader. So let's move onward and upward.
All right. So we're going to keep our meeting at the same time, or we might move it up next month. That will be discussed via email. So please be on the lookout for that. I know we went over time. I'm a terrible chair. Terrible.
5 minutes of my life.
You're less terrible than most weeks, okay, or months, because we're only 5 minutes over.
Okay. It's hard, you wonder how those mayor and commission meetings end up being 6 hours, and I get it. I kind of get it.
You're doing great.
All right, y'all. Have a good night. Be safe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Best of luck, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.